Fingers in Pies podcast, brought to you by Meron Freight UK.
Welcome to episode 5, the Fingers in Pies podcast with Meron Freight UK. If we can't move it, it can't be moved.
Oh my God, he's learned it.
I've got that tagline wrong every single time.
Took 5 episodes.
And about 10 Q&As last year. I was like, tell me if I got it right.
4 years of talking to each other.
4 years of talking to each other. I've got their tagline right. Meron Freight UK sponsor this fabulous podcast. But the start of the show today, our guest, I'll say hello to Mr. Tommy.
Hi, how you doing?
Mr. Meron Freight UK, my co-host. I'm Zach, of course, from Fortis, but we also got Natisha Chatten on today.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. Thank you very much for joining us. So, Natisha from Also Social UK, but just Natisha from being on camera. Like I say, I've just been talking off camera. I feel like I've met you and I haven't met you. Not to treat you like a celebrity, but it was a little bit like that. I was like, how have we not met, considering we're both in Essex doing some car-related stuff, and we haven't. But it's very, very nice to meet you now. I should explain why there are some pies, but it is the Fingers in Pies podcast. So help yourself to a pie. Anyone, not you. You've had a few already, not the production team.
Actually eyeing them up already.
We've got savoury, we've got fruit. There might not be a thing. But, I mean, is there a favourite pie?
I love a pork pie, but I don't think I'm going to be eating one on camera.
Are you looking at her?
So I want that clipped up.
She realises what we're going. But that's the nugget of gold. I wanted for the trailer. You just been like, with a pork head, but maybe off camera.
Yeah, off
afterwards.
camera.
They're not there for decoration, just by the way. People watching on YouTube, they are real. We do eat them afterwards. Right, okay, we'll come on to your favourite pie later on. Let's talk a little bit about how this has happened. So we were talking off camera how it's sort of happened. Obviously, we know why we've created the podcast. But Natisha, we've been sort of like ships in the night. We've not really crossed paths, but Also Social UK, everything that you do, if you can tell us a little bit about what you do, as succinct as possible, and then we'll go into more detail.
I was going to say, do you want to give a time limit?
Yeah.
Right, how do we start?
Exactly. So you basically, am I right in thinking there's the taglines will be thrown at you will be influencer, there'll be car reviewer, there'll be that you work at car dealerships and sales. I'm right in thinking as well, car sales a little bit.
I
maybe
did sales.
right?
Yeah,
Marketing,
I hated it.
right? So tell us what you're up to now and how you've sort of come to do it.
Yeah, I guess the way that I market myself depends who I'm talking to.
Right, okay.
So if I need to be a car journalist, to be taken a bit seriously, I'll be a car journalist, although the car journalists don't like that. And then if I'm a content creator, I'm a content creator. So it is a mix of different things.
Yeah.
I'd say the base of my business is my YouTube channel.
Right.
That's where everything started.
Yeah.
That's the key thing that I kind of focus on. And then everything kind of spindles off of that just to earn a bit more money.
Yeah.
Keep myself busy. I'm not good at not being busy.
Yeah.
I'm terrible at not being busy. So I need to make sure that I fill my diary with little things to keep kind of my mind busy. But yeah, so YouTube is the main thing that I've been building for the past. I've been building that for, I think it's been about 5 years now.
Yeah.
I haven't always been consistent with it. It was a slow start to begin with, but that's now pretty much full time, 1 video a week or 2 videos a week when I'm busy.
Yeah.
And then in between that, it's working with dealerships. And then it's quite funny because I always forget to mention kind of social media platforms, but actually my TikTok is probably as big as my YouTube channel.
How many followers you got on TikTok?
So on TikTok, I think I've got 36,000.
Nice.
So it is now just behind YouTube, but it was ahead for a little while.
Oh,
so.
nice. That's
Has that been a quicker sort of just like explosion, like with TikTok?
Yes. Well, I think we were chatting earlier on. It was really easy to grow that.
Yeah.
To kind of like a few years ago, it was much easier to get people to follow you, and I think that's on all platforms.
Yeah,
now.
it's the changes.
I think people have become a bit numb to the whole follow button.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, well,
Just flick through, don't you? You're like, that's cool, but it'll ping up again.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Algorithm, you're like, well, I'm going to see it again, so I don't actually want to follow it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a bit like I grew very big actually when I was doing much more mundane things. That's hilarious about it.
know.
When I was doing the mundane job of just photographing cars, which was my job kind of 2 years ago before I went full time with content creation, and I was just like in a cold warehouse in the middle of nowhere photographing a Vauxhall Mocha, and that would get more engagement on TikTok than it does now, which is ironic, and I'm flying across the world to go film a car and then it gets less engagement. But I think that's just the way things have moved. So, but yeah, I still try and stay consistent. So I've got the social media platforms, which of course I try and keep up with.
Yeah.
And then the next arms of that are presentation. So presenting for dealerships, working with dealerships to kind of take away that stress, because everybody at dealerships hates doing video reviews. So it's just to take that stress off of them and so they don't have to do it and I can do it instead. And I have one dealer who I consistently work with, and
100%. I mean, this is essentially what we wanted to do all them years ago, and it was funny because we watched you do it, and then we were obviously working for a dealership at the time, Trade Price Cars, about 5 years ago is when I started, but before Trade Price Cars I was trying to do that. I was trying to grab people's cars, take them out, make a video, and we were, due to the algorithm back then, you could get some traction pretty quickly on YouTube, and that's changed a little bit for YouTube for me, and that's why I'm like in awe of people who have got a following on YouTube, because it is hard now to do YouTube. TikTok, the views are a little bit more frequent. Obviously, that's the algorithm everyone's sort of going over to, and there'll be something else, I should imagine. So when you started out on YouTube, was it a kind of people telling you that, what are you doing? Like, there's no chance. Or did you think, no, I'll stick at this? I mean, you do fall out of love with social media, as people, I think we do.
Sure.
So yeah, I mean, how did it kind of start for you going, you know what, I'm going to actually give this a go?
So it all started, trying to remember now, it all started when I worked at kind of the massive used car dealer who were huge on social media, absolutely massive. And I worked in social media management there and very much enjoyed the role, but they very quickly realised that we got quite a lot of engagement if they stuck me in front of a camera.
Right.
But to start with, it made me so uncomfortable. So they would literally say, Tish, we're going live in 10 minutes. We want you to talk about that Bentley. And I'd be like, I don't know anything about that Bentley. What do you mean? Oh, I don't know. Just make it up. Or just improvise. So there's me. I go down there and I'm like doe-eyed in this camera with a camera in front of me. Live to, I think at the time we had something crazy. We were the largest car platform. I think it was, we were only just behind Car Throttle. It was something like 1.5 million people.
It was huge.
So it's like going live. And that was when everyone actually watched them as well. So like, we went live and everybody would watch. And there's just me in front of the camera and just pointing and going, it screams. That was all I knew nothing about it. And it was kind of one of those situations where it did get a lot of, and not all, all press is good press. So a lot of people were commenting like, who's let the receptionist talk about the cars? And I understand that though, because it's like, hate sometimes can be a little bit unjustified. But back then I didn't know anything about the cars, and I was literally just saying, it's got big wheels and it's got nice interior. And it was that pushed me to be like, right. But people were saying, more Tish, want to see more Tish. So I was like, we've got something here where people are interested in what I'm saying, but I want to make sure that I'm in charge of this. So I want to pick the car I'm going to talk about. I want to go away and I want to spend time researching that car. Because I'd like to present myself in a way that I know what I'm talking about, because I do know the basics of cars, but nobody, well, I say nobody, I could now. Now I could point at a Vauxhall Mocha and tell you what engine it's got, and I couldn't. And but you know the basics, and then you've only got to learn a little bit, and then you kind of have those facts to be able to reel off. So it was the kind of, I was in that mindset of being like, right, I'm going to start a YouTube channel. And then I actually lost that job. The whole company went bang. It grew way too big. It was just one of those situations of just inflating a balloon, and it just went bang because it was just too much going into it. And that forced me to have to make a decision. Well, what on earth am I going to do next? I know that I want to do
You so nearly did. Yeah, you can. Just say.
And I was like, what am I going to do next? So then I started kind of looking at roles, and I actually had a recruiter call me and say, we found a job in sales. And I was like, I do not want to work in sales. I know I'm not sales minded. And he was like, I know that, but please just hear me out. There's this dealership, they're looking for somebody who can do social media alongside sales. It's not really going to be massively sales driven. It's just a bonus to the job. So if you do the social media and you sell a car, you can make a bit of money off the back of that. But they want somebody who's kind of young and fresh and vibrant. So I was like, okay, and what brand is it? And they were like, well, it's Volkswagen. Now, I've always been a Volkswagen girl.
Right.
And I was like, do you know what? If I had to sell any car, it's going to be a Volkswagen. So I was like, if I've got that little bit of passion, then maybe we can make this work. So I did. So I took the job in the sleepy town of Stowmarket. Very different from being from like the absolute like bustle of being in Essex, everyone being obviously very Essex. And then go to sleepy Stowmarket where everyone's hugely Suffolk, but it was lovely. It was completely different to the world I've been used to, and they were actually fantastic in just kind of looking after me and being like, right, what do we need to do? And as I said, I hated sales. I was so bad at it. I can talk to anybody about a car, but the moment I have to go, right, you're gonna buy it, and they, as soon as they'd go to me, I think I need to think about it. And everybody knows if you're good at sales, you're not allowed to think about it. There's no thinking. And I'd go, I think that's a wise idea. And then my boss would go, why have you done that? And they'd go down the road and buy one from the next dealership along. But I just don't have that part of my personality that's the pushy part. So I was like, right, I like talking about cars. I don't want to be in sales. What can we do from there? And it was actually a little bit of a spark of something I saw. And I knew that I wanted to start Auto Social UK. And at the time, I thought perhaps I can go into social media management for car dealerships. And that was the idea of what I wanted to do. So I started up the kind of Instagram account and started to grow the Instagram account. And I was just looking around and was like, who's in this space? What are people doing? Because it was a world I wasn't used to. And I saw somebody called Miss Emma Walsh. I don't know if you've heard of her. She used to be a Made in Chelsea and she does a lot of car content. And I saw a YouTube video of her, and Audi had given her a TTRS for 3 months or for an extended amount of time.
So you thought, I'll bit of that. That's the one I'll have that.
Hang on a second, how's she done that? And then I looked into her content and was like, right, she kind of, every now and again she does car reviews and she's in a space of influence when it comes to cars. I want a bit of that. And and I remember thinking at the time, well, I'll start a YouTube channel in 6 months, I'll have a TTRS. I just thought, it was going to explode. And obviously it didn't explode. It was a much slower kind of burning candle. But I used my access at Volkswagen at the time to have access to cars which were interesting and also were current. So because I had access to new vehicles that had just been launched, I had a couple of videos do really well early on because I was like, right, let's get on that video straight away. And it was received really well and people really liked it. And then it was pretty much, I'd got just absolutely miserable from sales. I'd actually made a half decent amount of money from it. It was at the time when you could make really good money. And I was like, right, I've got a little bit of savings. Let's just take a bit of time out to decide what I'm going to do next. I know that I want to do YouTube, but where are we going to go with things? So that's what I did. I took a little bit of time and I went out and I started talking to dealerships about doing social media and then realised actually apparently that needs sales as well. So I wasn't very good at that. I think I did a few trial periods of going, well, I'll do it for free for a bit. And then was like, oh, actually, this is awful because it is very tricky to work with car dealerships because they've got so much going on. Showing the return of investment is very difficult, especially starting out. So I thought, let's put this on the back burner. Let's just keep growing the socials. At the time, the Instagram account, I mean, TikTok hadn't even, I don't even know, become a thing at the time.
Started,
But grow YouTube as much as I can, and then I started to look at other positions and then moved to a premium car dealership where I learned a lot more skills. And then it just kind of bubbled along.
Went from there. It is mad what, obviously, we're talking about 5 years ago. I mean, how much has changed now? Because if you say to someone then, like, oh, I think I'm just going to take what I've learned, I'm just going to go do my own thing over here, and almost like, when I ask car dealerships for cars, I'm just going to go review them on my own and put them up. There's parents and families and stuff will go, what are you doing? Go get a job now. That's not going to take
100%.
off. But now, if you say that, actually, I'm going to contact some dealerships, everyone can take them out and give them a bit of a shout out and say, it's almost like, oh yeah, I reckon I'll be up for that. Like the changing of, well, I mean, you own a company and been owning a company for a long time. That attitude towards content creators and influencers has completely changed in 5 years.
I think everything, you've got to open your mind up to new things, but also move with the times a lot as well. But I think it's quite interesting, actually. I'm going to definitely show this to my daughter who's 11 and going, I want to be a YouTuber, and going, it doesn't just happen like that. Right? Yes, you can have an idea. Yes, you can have a direction you want to go, but you've got to work hard at it. And even when it isn't going the way you want it to, you've just got to keep grinding and figuring out. And like you said, you learned so much actually everywhere you worked that has take parts from it to help you create what you actually have now. So you can't just be focused on that one. You've got to take experiences, bring everything in, and realize what you are and aren't good at the time or comfortable with.
Yeah.
And build from there. And like that's where you've sort of got yourself to. But yeah, I can show Tilly that and go, right, can't just do that.
Yeah.
You got to, you know.
And also, it's the amount of work that goes in, because the amount of work goes in, we know. I mean,
you don't see it.
But we were lucky enough, funnily enough, to have that cushion of Dan and Trade Price Cars. I had a job and I was paid by that job. And and I'm lucky enough to be able to pay for things. We all had a job there to do. So we'd go out and review a couple of cars in the day. That was our job, to do that, and we were paid. You were doing a job sometimes, and then also I could remember, because we were linked on LinkedIn and stuff, and you were asking, anyone got I'm about to do a car review on this and this, and you were trying to make contacts work. It's almost that little bit of a risk, like, okay, I'm putting all this work in. Very easy, and this is what I'm going to ask you next, very easy to get a year in and go, my last 5 videos got 1,000 views.
Yeah, I could just go get a full-time job.
So much work into them. Should I just bin it and go do something else? Were you close to?
I think this is where it comes down to my mindset of what I wanted, my goals. So my goals have never been to make loads of money off of this.
Right.
I think I spent a lot of time through my 20s trying to earn a lot of money. And then actually, as I got towards the end of my 20s and into my 30s, I was like, you know what? I just want to be doing something I love.
Right.
And then that's where that switch, and if the money comes, it's just a bonus.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it. It's a bonus if I make good money off of this.
Yeah.
But actually, I want to be doing, and I want to have the freedom. Like at the moment, I just have the freedom to be like, right, I'm going to take a week off here, a week off there.
Yeah.
Like my all my time is just completely at my own disposal. And that was kind of the key importance to me. If it was all about making money, you're right, I would have quit it ages ago. I remember getting my first YouTube paycheck of when I was first monetized, and do you know what? That took a while.
Yeah.
I think I remember at the time, like it took me maybe a year and a half, 2 years to get
100%.
monetized. So that's and now I look at it, I'm like, oh my god, all you had to do is you had to get to 1,000 followers and 4,000 hours of watch time. I mean, now I'm on something crazy, like I make 4,000 hours of watch time every minute or something crazy like that. But it took me like nearly a year and a half to do that. And I remember getting my first paycheck, and I made about 9p.
Yes, it is demoralising.
Paper costs more than the actual check.
I think once I was monetized, it took me about 6 months to earn £100 or £150. But this was when it was still like I was only putting a video out every few months. So my whole mind wasn't into just YouTube. So
but it's interesting. A lot of people listen to this and go, it's actually interesting to see that backstory of how and what it is actually like. Being monetized on something like a social.
I know. But this is what we were saying. Like I remember that exact thing where we did bits for that Talk magazine. And I was literally like, we got 1,000 followers. Like, this is it, guys. This is kind of it. And then you had a video that I think we took out one of Dan's Ford Focus RS when it had like 300 miles on it. It was the fresh car, the Mark III. And we were like, that was gone to, like, we didn't even have like many subscribers at all, but it went to loads of views, got a massive amount of views. And then when we got 1,000 subscribers, we're like, this is it, monetized, we're going to hit it. And then we did like a series of 5 videos that literally didn't even touch the sun. Like, we're like, can't even get my family to watch them. Like, what's going on? I'm like texting around. I'm like sending it into WhatsApp groups, going, please watch my video, nothing's happening. And literally get like, and then you start to question, like, oh, is this the way to go? But like you say, taking that pressure off yourself, and perhaps with your daughter, definitely my daughter going forward, like, stop seeing maybe the end product and the big bank balance, and actually, do you enjoy it? Do you like doing what you're doing? But okay, there's a way that people make money doing what you're doing. Like, it happens. And that was our goal as well. And then I was like, well, hold on. People make money doing videos for companies. And this is at one stage, I had someone say to me in my old job, they were like, there's no money. And hopefully he doesn't watch this because he'll know who he is. But he literally was like, there's not enough money in this video game. You were out all day and you got the company to pay that, but you're going to have to get loads of companies to pay it. I don't see it. Let's concentrate on selling some advertising. And I was like, And I went home, and so I missed it at the time. I was like, one day someone will pay us to do video content. But it's kind of was a bit far-fetched. I think even she was eating dinner like, yeah, right, I'm sure they will. But look what happens when you sort of stick at it. But I'm just wondering, so now you are in that position. Mm-hmm. What is it now for you? I mean, are you just still in that mindset? Do you still keep that mindset of, I just still want to enjoy what I do? Or is there more of a, actually, now that Emma Walsh was the goal then, is there another person where you want to go? Do you want to be presenting on TV shows and stuff? I don't know. What's the aim?
I think still my mindset is very much where it is. So I just want to be happy. I just want to be flexible and enjoy what I'm doing. And that's where I am now. And actually last year, I may not have made the most money, but the memories and the experiences were like second to none. You couldn't even, I remember, so Nissan took me up to Andorra to an ice racetrack, and we drifted cars around an ice track in Andorra.
What's going
What Nissan did you...
Oh, well, it was Nissan Aria. So it was their electric car. So this is the thing. It's a lot of the petrol stuff is now kind of all the experiences are with electric cars, but it was still amazing. I mean, you can still switch the differentials so that it's like mainly rear wheel drive. And that's kind of, so it was great fun. And it's those experiences. Yeah. Went to the Hockenheimring. That was an electric car again, but so we took the Kia Stinger and the Kia EV6 GT.
I like the Stinger.
Went drifting around the Hockenheimring, and it's things like this that I guess when I started this job I never knew even existed, and it's those that, I mean, I'm not earning any money when I'm there. I mean, it's a return of investment if I come back. So it's like, right, if I come back with a video and that video does well, I might make a few £100. But for me, it was like, all of these experiences are worth more to me than the money. And I would like to look back and think, wow, like I did some really, really cool stuff. And I don't think I'll look back and think, I made loads of money that year. But it was really boring. Like I would rather like look back and think, I didn't make the most money, or I made enough money to survive. But I did this, and I did all these experiences, and I went here, and I drove this car, and like Bentley took me on this event, and it's those things that I think mean more to me than making loads and loads of money. And I guess the end goal is to stay focused on being happy, and if the money comes, then it's just an added bonus. But with socials, everything is just a snowball, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's all about, and then that's where the element of me not being great at sales comes in, because actually I probably should be earning a lot more off my platforms than I actually am, because every video should have a sponsor, and every video, and it's just kind of having the time to sit and focus on those things rather than the things that I love and I enjoy doing. So
bit of sales in everything you do, even when it comes to having YouTube starts. It's amazing.
Absolutely, there's so much sales on YouTube.
But there is that point that you've just made there, that someone could look at that and be like, what? Like, what are you doing? Let's grab that and let's monetize it this way, and let's get someone to pay for that, and you're not charging for that. You should be charging for that. But then, what's important to you, right? We've discussed this. What's
enjoyment level just shifts, doesn't it?
Exactly.
Like you're saying, actually, are you still enjoying it that much?
Anxiety that comes with asking for mega money for something,
right?
Because when you charge mega money, people expect mega results,
right? Yeah.
I would rather charge a little bit lower, and people go, wow, do you know what? That was really worth it. That was really worth that money. And as long as I'm making some money out of it, but as soon as you kind of crank that money up, they're like, well, I didn't sell a car off of it. And obviously we know that ultimately that's what they're looking at. They don't care that probably 500 people have come to the website and looked at cars. They're like, well, someone didn't actually say I bought a car off of this video. And it's things like that. So it's finding that balance between charging enough that you're earning decent enough money to survive and live and have a good life, but then also, for me personally, not getting into that realm of just the weight on your shoulders of being like, God, I'm charging so much money for this.
But also backing yourself.
Spectacular. Yeah.
Also backing yourself for what you do. And am I charging? What am I worth? And it must be really hard finding it out, because there's nothing you're following at, no template to follow on it.
No, it's really not. Picking
numbers, really, going, that's what I think I'm worth. So that must be really tough.
I already can think of how we'd grab Natisha's platform, and we go, right, this person is for you, she does this, that, and the other. You could put her, but like you say, having that control of your own destiny, no. I do me. This is why I did it. You know what I mean? This is why I'm not working for a dealership and having them tell me what I should be charging and what. It's like, no, I do it because I do it for myself. And like you say, there is a bottom line to everything, but what you're finding is that is changing a little bit. There's still dinosaurs in this world at the top, but it is changing a little bit. And we've discussed this, like, hold on, will there be a time when we're very old, when those dinosaurs are replaced by more forward thinking people, that there is actually longevity in getting someone that actually represents your brand really, really well and puts it out there, where it's not all about how many cars, how many units has that sold me. It is how many people has that brought to a website, how many people has that brought to a platform, do they like it as well, do they actually want to see more of it?
I think in sponsorship side you see that as well, like we were talking about with Draper the other day about, you know, how do you quantify what you're actually sponsoring? You know, the partnerships that we got with Southampton and Accelerate, really tough, nigh impossible to actually get proper figures from it. But again, you look at the figures that are seeing it, right? So the Mayor on brand, for example, now how many times is that being seen? You know, Southampton played Liverpool the other night on ITV, and you got Mayor on the sleeve at Anfield, which is a really proud moment, which is amazing. But then the business mind goes, okay, there's 10 seconds there. It's 10 seconds there. That logo is being seen more and more and more. I get agents from around the world emailing me saying they watch that game. You know what I mean? Like, it's nuts. It's amazing. And that's, like you say, yes, what you wanting out of it. You know what I mean? Like, it is, and also a few different parts that you can look at. And also that
element that Tisha said of are you actually enjoying what you're doing? Do you enjoy it? Do you like it? We discussed the other day. They, you know, sponsoring a race car and sponsoring a football team. Do you like going to the football? Do you like the football? Do you like the club that you're sponsoring? Or is it just purely commercial gain? And we're fortunate enough, I think, to be able to have it all. I think you can absolutely earn money from it, as you've said. But you can actually really enjoy it as well. And there's this people that are like, oh, you know, but is it making you enough money? It's like, well, it doesn't really matter. We've just got to travel the world, and I think we're in the wrong game. We should go into on ice.
It's certainly a world that I never knew existed. I mean, at the times when I used to watch Emma Walsh, I didn't know this. That for me is also my little like side passion project, because of course fingers in pies.
That's it. That's exactly what this is about.
How can I maximise as much as what I'm doing? So I actually have a side channel called Tish Does Travel. And so what I've started to do is when I get to go to these fabulous places, because I get to stay at hotels, but I would never stay in. I'd never be able to afford to stay in these places. So when I'm going to those hotels, I'm like, right, let's grab some videos of the hotel. Let's do a little bit of socials around this, just things like that, because I'm thinking, right, because if I can monetize the travel side of stuff as well, then I'm laughing, because it's like, if you can mix together travel, kind of content creation.
And people love the travel side, don't they?
I'm just picturing you picking up a car from a dealership who sponsored you, driving to the airport, getting on the plane, landing at the hotel.
That is my life.
Having a margarita by the pool.
Except I don't collect them, because I realised very early on that actually brands will send you a car. So I'll have a car delivered on a Monday, and then I'll take it to the airport. But
sorted.
But it's funny how you say, like, talking about dinosaurs, and you're like, right, okay, so we've got people in car dealerships who are a little bit dinosaurs, and people, but what still shocks me is there's people still there in like big brands. And you're just like, I'm there ripping my hair out. Because I'll go to an event and they know what I'm there for. They know who I am by now. They know, right, Tish will need to create a full video. Tish will need one car, because a lot of the times they're like, oh, hi Tish, yes, you've got 20 minutes in each car. And I'm like, no, I haven't. I'm not going to do that. They'll be like, well, you need to drive all variants. No, I don't. I'm going to do one video on one car. And they'll be like, well, I don't think we can do that. And I'm like, what do you think I can do in 20 minutes? Like, I cannot create a full video in 20 minutes. And they'll be like, oh yeah, we didn't really think about that. And I'm like, you know my platform, you know what I do. But so I'll turn up to these events, and also like social media and things like that as well. And I will get there and they'll be like, oh, there isn't any driving. Like, what do you mean there's no driving? Oh, it's just like you just get to see it.
Walk around it,
And I'm like, I remember I went to one, it traumatized me. And now I always know that I will properly ask, right, what, I will always say to a brand before I go, okay, so what return of investment am I going to get? How long have I got with the car on my own? Is there somewhere that you've found? Because they still don't find, I'll be like, do you know anywhere local that I can do any filming? No. I'm like, I am in the centre of Barcelona and you expect me to find somewhere to pull over, get a tripod and film a video.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I didn't really think about that. And I'm like, they're thinking about the journalists, which is still, I'm absolutely no hate to journalists.
Yeah.
There is still so much kind of importance in written content, but also we're moving into a new age and you need to be thinking about people who are creating video content, doing like, and it's still not set up for that.
No.
Visuals are so important.
I just think,
Yeah.
how is this a thing? Like, and yeah, so I was really traumatized once because I went on a Jeep event for the new Jeep Avenger. And I was sent there, and I even prepared for this because they said it's just the visual representation. So you'll be able to see it on stage, but you'll be able to like film it on stage. I've done that before, that's fine. Nowadays, I don't really do that very much because it's a lot of effort. But I thought, I'll do it. I'll go there because I'll get an exclusive. So anyway, and I think I'm going to back myself up as well. What I'll do is I'll also film a vlog whilst I'm there. Because if I can't come away with the car content, if I can't get enough content, I can film a vlog.
Yeah.
So I start the vlog and say, I'm here at the factory because I was like, that's really interesting. We're seeing the car being built. Anyway, I'm standing outside the front of the factory with my phone out. Hi guys, I'm here at the factory in Poland. I'm going to see the new Jeep Avenger. One guy goes to me, no filming. So I was like, what do you mean no filming? They made me cover every camera that I had. And it was a no filming event. I spent 3 days in Poland not being paid. And I was like,
why?
You know what I do.
So were they
what did you
expecting?
think I was going to get? And they were like, can't you write something? And I'm like, no, because I don't do written content and I'm heavily dyslexic and I don't work for any papers. Like, but you know that. You know what my platforms are. And this is the thing. It's like, we think that, yeah, sure, there's some people like in like smaller companies that are a little bit backwards. Oh no, there's still people in these massive companies that are not thinking about these things.
That is absolutely.
So how was Poland?
Yeah. Well, yeah. It was Tinchy actually. It was a factory. It was cool to see the factory, but
that was it. That's all you saw in the factory.
I have memories. That's it.
So the thing is, in terms of being an influencer, we want to talk about everything that sort of goes involved with that. Not an influencer, but a content creator. But you're opening yourselves up to the elements.
Yeah.
Right? You're opening yourself up to comments, shares, memes if people really want to be horrible. We've done it ourselves. We had a Ford Ranger video go out to 150,000 people. A lot of people picked up in America and absolutely ripped the crap out of me for literally what I was saying about this Ford Ranger, and I was just like, come on, I'm saying it out of the book kind of thing. This is a research-led thing. They're like, that car, that's a little Ranger, it's nothing compared to this, that and the other. And I was like, oh my god, got a lot of views, so we didn't really care. Having a thick skin, you've got a daughter. I've got a daughter around the same age. My little girl's just about to turn 13, right? And she's already on TikTok doing sort of bits. And I'm like, okay, well, you've got to be on TikTok. You've got to be prepared for that TikTok to go out to 1.2 million people in 3 days. And she's like, obviously hers is private. But I was like, if you're going to be on that, you've got to be aware of that. For a woman starting out, reviewing cars, which, let's face it, it's still a heavily male dominated places. Car dealerships. We just came out of one, and massive male dominated place. So, woman reviewing cars on YouTube, TikTok, everywhere like that. The comments and everything like that. Was it ever daunting to think, I don't know if I'm going to do this for those reasons?
I completely understand what you're saying, and I think there is a lot of people that couldn't hack it.
Right.
I have a lot of friends now that try and do it, and they get really tied up on the smallest comments. People say.
Yeah.
Absolutely, because people can be cruel
about appearance, about nothing to do with what you've even said about the car. They'll just be like, you'll just assume because
Yeah,
it's the first
hugely.
minute.
But I think I've always had a thick skin.
Yeah.
And I think actually a lot of that comes down to working in a car dealership. Like there's a lot of banter. You don't take things seriously. Things are said.
Yeah.
And it is. And it's not, this isn't a positive, but it can be quite a sexist place.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's awful to say I've gotten used to it because you shouldn't need to get used to something like
Absolutely.
that. And it is about being headstrong and being able to kind of hold your ground. But also, I very quickly learned that anybody saying anything negative on the internet is not a happy person.
Right.
No happy person gets so wound up about somebody else's appearance or something that somebody's doing and thinks, I'm going to abuse them or I'm going to say something nasty about them. And that's what you have to remember. Like, I actually feel a lot of the time, I do feel really sorry for these people when it's a really nasty one.
Yeah.
And I think, how miserable do you have to be to think... But then a lot of the time as well, it's quite interesting that my videos that do go massive, people will say, like, tell your presenter. And I'm like, I'm not a presenter. Like, this is my entire platform.
I'm a one man.
So I'll be like, hi, presenter
me.
here. Or they'll be like, they'll be like, your company needs to hire a better, somebody once said, you could do with hiring a better sound engineer. And I was like, sound engineer? I don't even have a cameraman. Like, this is me, my iPhone and a Rode mic in front of the camera.
Yeah.
Like, but actually, the fact that you've said that I need a better sound engineer must mean I'm doing something right.
Take a negative and turn that into a massive positive, right?
Absolutely.
You go, they must think there's a team behind it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's always, it does make me laugh. And I think that's the way that you've got to look at it. You've got to understand that it's not you that's the problem and this person is like not a happy person. I had one recently which was really funny, and actually I will always hold my hands up and I will say I will always be authentic. And I'm quite heavily dyslexic, and that means occasionally, especially when I'm under pressure, my brain mixes up words and I'll say words wrong. And I'm learning every day. Like, there's a lot of things since I've been presenting, because you're saying words out loud and watching it back, you're like, oh my God, I'm saying that word wrong. Like recently, so I always called amenities amenities.
Right.
And I didn't know there was a difference.
Right,
and it was only since saying it out loud and everyone was going, ha ha ha, amenities. And I'm like, hang on a second. And I Googled it and I was like, oh my God, I've been using the wrong phrase. But it's like, I'll always have a laugh with somebody and be like, oh, I'm really sorry, like my brain mixes up words. And I had a guy recently and I used the word infamous wrong. I'd used it as it was a positive term. I meant for it to be positive. And he was like, actually that means, but he said like, any kids watching this is exactly why you shouldn't leave school. And I kind of said to him like, okay, hold my hands up. I've used that word incorrectly. But you're using me as somebody who's grown their own company, travels the world, and reviews cars for a living as being why people shouldn't leave school.
Yeah.
I said that a lot of people would actually want to be in that position. But we had a bit of back and forth, and most of the time you shouldn't engage with it.
Yeah.
We had a little bit of back and forth. Anyway, it all went quiet. And then I get a notification on my phone, a different video, and I look at it. It just says, fat. Same guy. It's like, you can just imagine, like, I've just gone about my day, made a cup of tea, watched a bit of telly. He's sitting there and he's just shaking, like, oh my God, what can I say? What can I say? And he's like, right, the one thing that no woman can deal with, fat. And I was just like, I looked at it and I just laughed and I was like, I cannot believe he's just done that. Like, but that just proved to me, like, I didn't sit and go, oh my God. That just proved to me that, like, he was so wound up by seeing a female talking about cars that that was his only comeback to it. And that's, at the end of the day, that's just the way you have to look at it. You are always going to get hate, no matter who you are. You're always going to get it. And a lot of time people just say it to wind you up. On TikTok, that's the thing. TikTok, it's all a wind up. People will say things to get a reaction.
Absolutely.
And you just have to understand that nobody happy says anything negative.
Sort of keyboard warriors and people that are jealous like bullies as well. It's because they're jealous of you in a way, you know. It's unfortunately.
That's exactly it. I mean, we've always come from, and lucky enough, when we worked for Dan for a little while, there's a lot of competition. Car dealerships are like rife with it, you know, and we always were of the opinion, and the way we've always worked, like, we've got competition. What we do, you know, we're at the racing, we see other people doing videos and race teams and stuff like that. We always address things with a positive sort of outlook, because if you don't, you end up negative and you actually affect the quality of your work. So for example, you get hung up, for example, negative. So, for example, actually, you're a great example. I could have looked at Natisha's videos a long time ago and almost felt a little bit threatened. But like, she's doing these videos on her own, and I do these, and they're not as good, and this. You've got to embrace it. Like, that's really cool. And the fact that you were doing new cars, I was like, she'll go quite far with that. And I think she presents it really well. I think she's doing that on her own. I could totally tell you doing your own. I was like, she's doing that on her own. We've got like a 4-man team. You know what I mean? And I was almost looking, I was like, I bet she'll go far with that. She's got new cars, we've got used cars. But it was a positive sort of outlook. So, and that's exactly why Dan looked at it. Dan was like, oh, let's try and get her in to do some work with us. And I was like, that's a really cool way of looking at it, where some people would just feel threatened by it and feel nothing but negative to say, like that person.
And put a wall up in between as well, so there's never that option.
And instead of actually looking at the things and perhaps not liking one video you've done, but looking at the tens of thousands you've got elsewhere and go, I quite like that one, they'll just be like, slag every single one off.
Yeah.
Whereas that person's probably really jealous that someone is in Barcelona reviewing a car that they'd like to review. And there's only one reason you've looked at a car review, because you're probably into cars, and the fact that you're jealous of it, I could get jealous of every influencer that spends time at a football club. I was jealous of Tom Ingram on Southampton pitch the other day. I was like, damn it, I could have been there. But you know what I mean? You can get jealous of everyone, but I don't understand. I'll never understand the keyboard warriors, but they exist. And it is a worry for having a daughter at this time, because even 5 years ago, it's evolved even more now. And just the people ready to say something negative is there. But putting yourself out there must be harder maybe for maybe family and friends maybe than it is for you, because you're the person that's out there. What do you think? Do you ever find someone that, I've read some of the comments and they've said this, they've said that, but it's sort of water for that spat because you're enjoying what you're doing, I guess?
Yeah. I have had people get upset by it before, and like people want to defend me and say things. But I think quite quickly, like, family understand now that if it's not bothering me, then it doesn't matter. I'm sure if I was like really upset and crying about something, they'd be like, right, I want to do something about this. Like, but it's also the thing with social media. I really hope that by the time your kids are adults, I really hope that actually they have implemented where you have to put a piece of ID with your social media platforms, because I think that would take away so much of this, because it is just because you're faceless that you can say these things.
That's the scary part about it, isn't it? If you actually think about it, it's not, that wouldn't be a hard thing to put in place.
No, not at all.
But people would object, because mainly, obviously, keyboard warriors would object, but people do get very, very upset. Oh, what are you trying to check? They think there's a conspiracy theory for everything, which we could...
What's happening with my...
Exactly, what's happening with my data? You're going to grab it for this and that, but
then go subscribe to something that we all do about 5 times a week.
Exactly. But I totally agree. I mean, we've seen people that have said outrageous things about the England football team when they miss penalties, and they tracked them down, they lost their jobs. Like, that's the sort of repercussions you want. And I think it is solved by that.
It's scary as well, because a lot of people say, well, like, aren't you going to do something about that? But I actually worry that I don't know how difficult it is to take down a platform. What scares me is you can't engage with these people too much, because my worry would be if I really get under this person's skin, they're like, right, I'm going to report it or find a way to take it down. And actually, that's a really scary thought, because I know that these platforms are really difficult to get hold of. And me, with my 40,000 subscribers, is nothing to them. With their multi-million platform. So it's a scary time of being like, right, I don't want to poke the bear too much, because if that's gone, that's kind of everything I've built, which is a little bit of a scary thought. I think it's all about just kind of laughing it off, really. Not taking it too seriously, and being proud of the fact that somebody's wound up by you.
I said they've taken the time, haven't they? So you're like, I must be doing something right.
But it is quite an exciting time. By the other flip side of the coin, it's an exciting time for people with daughterhood, because the possibilities and the opportunities for women to do stuff now is kind of pretty much endless, and it's there, and that is the beauty about it. And it's the beauty about you grabbing a camera, stopping by the side of the road or wherever it is, more picturesque place than the side of the road, and doing your own video and putting it out there and getting thousands of views is something nice for, obviously, I know your influencer budding daughter, or content creating a budding daughter, to sort of look at and be like,
followed Zach around.
Followed us around
the last rounds from last year.
But she's found a passion at that young. But we never know what's going to happen in time. But we'll see where it goes. But it must be quite nice that those opportunities are there that I don't think necessarily you would have thought possible maybe 5 years ago, sitting in that dealership. Yeah. I know people that worked in that dealership. I know what an environment it must have been. Some lovely people come out of there, but also it's a very male dominated and then all of a sudden, like, let's get you in front of a camera talking about Bentley. There's some people that would have looked at you, let's get a woman in front of a Bentley and take advantage of that. And I think now the opportunity for women to be equal alongside men in presenting opportunities, all that sort of stuff, has never been better. So you've got to kind of ride that wave as well, right? And sort of embrace it. But you weren't starting 5 years ago in a place where it was as accepting, right? Yeah, for sure. It's definitely moved on a lot. And there is loads of opportunities now about kind of getting involved in launch activities of new cars, which is really, really exciting. And that's definitely the way I want to move with things, just doing a bit more presenting, but a bit more professional presenting. I mean, I'd love, for a while, I've been looking to take on one more presenting role on YouTube, which is like slightly bigger. So whether it's like a what car, probably not a car wow. We all know that Matt Watson's not giving that one. Matt Watson's got it.
He's not sharing that. But yeah, like working at a bigger platform where it is just, I just want a job where I just turn up and present and go home. I don't have to worry about setting up the cameras and editing on it when I get home. And but there is.
They exist, don't they, them jobs? turn up and present in front of a camera. You've definitely got a job for Tisha.
Like?
We've definitely. Oh, it's great. I turn up. I go, is camera ready? Right, give me a mic. Well, it's hard work. Don't look at me like that. It's hard work for us presenters. I'm joking. I'm not a presenter. But I mean, in terms of the opportunities are kind of endless. But I mean, the travel element, the social element, the presenting element. Are you just gonna stick to your guns and do what you enjoy, or is there gonna be a time where you go, oh, let's do this bit over here where I look at the money and I look at the thing and I concentrate on that business element? Are you going to do that at some point? Or it's got you so far, so maybe if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, I will honestly just ride the wave.
Yeah.
That's all what I've always done, and that's always found me in quite a good position. For me as well, I'm always somebody, I will always open the door. So if somebody wants to come and talk to me about an opportunity, I'll always open the door, have a chat about it, see where it could go. It may be miles away from what I'm doing at the moment, but I will never say like, no, or like, I'm not interested in that, I'm not going to explore that. I'll always explore it. But it does have to align with everything. Of course, that I guess the problem is like my YouTube channel is now like my baby.
Yeah.
And it's like, could I ever like wave goodbye to that when so much time and money's gone into it? But I do find it interesting that actually when I do my research on other channels, I was doing a bit of research last night looking for a sponsor. And actually in terms of like people who have big channels within the new car world, there's not many people out there. Like there's really not. And I do roll with big dogs when it comes to stuff like that, which is really exciting. But yeah, it's just a case of I would like to go into a bit more presenting. I don't think TV's for me, but I also won't say no. So if something come along and we're like, right, let's see how you get on with it, I'll be like, yeah, do you know what, actually let's give it a go. I don't necessarily think that's what's going to make me happy. I think I really enjoy building my own channels and what I'm doing now, but yeah, I'll always be open to having a conversation.
The beauty about it is, remember when we were growing up, you had to get on TV to be recognised.
Yeah.
That's all there was. That was all there was.
Isn't it weird that we got a potential person with that following going, well, do you want to be on TV? It's like, well, I don't really have to now. I'll actually be on a channel over here that's got more viewers than the Channel 5 or Channel 4 programme.
That's the scary part, right? I think you actually look at it and people in the evenings, not everyone's even watching TV. People are going on TV and opening YouTube up.
Yeah.
I haven't watched TV I don't think I've watched it for about 2 years.
Yeah. So with the streaming services and with obviously your phone, access to absolutely everything, the need for a TV license has almost gone out the window. So it's a very, very weird sort of place to sort of be, but it's forever evolving, and I've got to be thankful for it. I mean, we talk about social media gets a bad rep, all the YouTube, Facebook, it really does. But I don't have a business if it's not for it. You know what I mean? So the positive people out there far outweigh the negative. They're 100%. Otherwise, we wouldn't all have these apps on our phone. But if you look at the news and stuff, it would seem like they don't. It seems like that social media is the devil, which it can be. I mean, how does it feel for you? Obviously, your own company. You've got a family or whatever. Does it find it funny, obviously, hearing Natisha say, "I'm just going to sort of ride the wave and see where life takes you"? Or would you be telling Tilly, "No, go get a job and have some security, please"?
No,
Just gave up to me.
no, exactly. No, I think the whole 9 to 5 thing. Obviously, we had the conversation before, sort of disappeared.
Yeah.
Opportunities are endless.
Yeah.
Don't get, like you said, find something you enjoy to do. I've always said that to both my kids. They're probably really young, but I've always said to them, I said, if you enjoy it, do it.
Yeah.
Or try it at least. I've always said, try something.
Yeah.
Because you will never know. So if you try something, my daughter played football for 6 months and then sort of fell out of love with it. I was like, right, stop. I'm not going to force you to go and play, stand there on a winter's Sunday morning. Kind of happy myself on that one. Now she's doing go-kart and she's absolutely loving it. I'm like, carry on doing that. Yeah. I will back you 100% whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
But as long as you try 100%, I've always said at school, my daughter's slightly dyslexic as well. She's struggling. She's a lot slower when it comes to the reading and right side of things. I said, I don't care about your assessments that she had before half term. I do not care what the results are. As long as you can turn around to me and said, you tried your hardest, that's all I care about. And that's all I'll ever ask of you.
Yeah.
You know? So when it comes to opportunities and trying different things and whatever they do when they're older, as long as they give 100% in what they do and they enjoy it, great. If they want to totally go, right, okay, I'm going to take a risk. People don't take enough risks these days, right? Risk reward.
Yeah.
And you're finding the rewards of it now. Of what you did, you took that jump and gone, do you know what? Okay, I'm going to stick to it. I enjoy it.
Yeah.
If you don't try it, you're never going to know.
Yeah.
You know? So that's always going to be the key that I'll try and say to the kids when they're growing up. And also try and listen to it myself, trying different things. The podcast, for example.
The podcast, and also you jumping into a mini challenge car and actually trying to be a racing driver would be one of those.
Yeah, that's one. First race in 6 weeks' time?
Yeah, first race in 6 weeks.
So, I think more the only main question I get is, it's not about, you've never raced before or this or that. It's how do you fit into a Mini? And that is the one question that I seem to get a lot. 6'5". So, it's interesting. There won't be many videos. There'll probably be probably a meme trying to watch me get out.
There'll be loads of video. We're there doing the video content for you. There's going to be videos. Exactly. You're not going to get away with it.
Boys, careful.
Don't get put in this video out or anything. Jesus Lord.
But yeah, it is one of these. Don't want to lower the tone or anything like that. But yeah, my mum was diagnosed with Alzheimer's at 55. Right, and she was always, my number one go-to.
Yeah.
And always one thing she said was turn every negative into a positive if you can.
Yeah.
There's always a positive part about it in one little way. And what's happening with mum is awful and horrible and, you know, but at the same time, it's made me go, do you know what? Try new things.
Yes.
Because I did get very tunnel vision with Meron and the freight side and going, right, what we're going to do? But I've gone, do you know what? Let's look elsewhere. The podcast, the race and the social media that we're working on and doing different things, going, I want to do something different.
Yeah.
Even within the industry, I can do something different, right? And just stand out from the crowd a little bit. I don't want to just follow the normal mundane route of things. And that's what I enjoy. I really like that. Even a couple of the staff members are going, the podcast, why? And when I sort of sit down and talk about it and I think, okay, I see it. Same with the Southampton sponsorship, same with the Accelerate sponsorship in the touring cars. There is method behind the madness. There is a thinking behind it. And with social side of it, especially, and the way the world is, if that, logo, that Mayor on Freight logo is out there more and more, it's being seen more and more, it's only a positive thing, right? It's not so I just sort of going with it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you close yourself off, as we've sort of heard from you, I think you're only going to end up unhappier.
Yeah.
And I think that's just been the theme of this sort of episode. It seems as though you're putting your happiness before anything else ultimately, and it's hard. You get lost in that when you're running businesses and you've got family, you've got children, you've got responsibilities, you've got to pay to live somewhere, etc. It is lost sometimes, and I think you can really lose sight of what makes you happy. And I can only imagine when you're doing a YouTube channel and literally you're out on your own, and sometimes the weather's not great, or you're waiting for the weather to turn, and then the car's not there available.
Sit with a pork pie in your car, just waiting for the weather to turn.
We just made decisions to sit in the pork pie in the car. But then I can imagine the frustration of being like, oh, if I do this, it might get 500 views. Like, what am I doing it for? So hats off, because I know
100%.
how hard it must have been doing it on your own as well as a job, because we were lucky enough to be able to sort of do it in a job. So yeah, it's pretty amazing. So what have you got? Are you jetting off anywhere soon? Either for Tisha and Travel, which by the way, is that an exclusive? I mean, it's out there, is it? Tisha and Travel?
Out there, yeah.
I mean, I've not seen it. I mean, that's it. We've got to tag that now as well.
I don't share a ton about it, so
We're sharing it now.
We're sharing it now.
Tisha and
kind
Travel.
of waiting for it to build up, and then I'll show you a bit more. I did. The difficult thing is I started doing YouTube vlogs, but
Right.
they're very hard. Vlogging is
Yeah.
a different type of content.
Consistent as well, isn't it? Like, that's
Tricky.
everything.
It's also, I've really found as well with vlogging is that, like, especially when I'm at an event, it's kind of tricky because not everyone's going to want to be on the camera, so I have to respect that.
Yeah.
But I will, like, say I am doing an event today, and I'll be like, right, I'll vlog before I get to the airport, and then I'll vlog at the airport a little bit the plane. Then I'll forget, and I'll be like,
Just missed 4 hours.
there's now no context to how I got here. And then I'll be like, I'm up a mountain in Andorra. And then I'll be like, hang on a second, you're in the airport 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, that's the hard thing. So that's just something, that's a skill that and then the difficult thing is ultimately that does make me zero money.
Right.
That's complete happiness stuff.
Yeah.
That's just something I want to share, memories for myself. So that does take the back burner. But in terms of, I do have some trips coming up. This is the hilarious thing, and people find this absolutely nuts. But I don't know where. I look like the day before I go as to where I'm going. I know I've got a trip to Bordeaux coming up with Suzuki.
Right.
New Suzuki Swift.
That's making him feel nervous.
That's made me feel really weird anyway. Why is Suzuki going to Bordeaux?
They're never related necessarily to where they are. Yeah, I guess they don't tend to send you long haul. So then it's usually set up at like a European base where everybody flies out to. So just come back on Tuesday. I come back from Cannes with Peugeot. And so there's a bit of I am actually doing a track day next week with the new Alfa Romeo Stelvio and also Giulia Quadrifoglio, which will be really exciting.
Lovely.
He asked me what size race helmet I was, and I said, I have no idea.
Should we
How would I know that?
Oh, yeah, it's just.
How would I know? Oh, it's medium. Like what?
I don't know. I've got quite a small head, and he's like, I'm sure we'll find something to fit. Cool opportunity.
It's so cool. Like, it's unbelievably cool, and it's amazing to see that. I mean, don't get me wrong, you made a massive mistake turning down coming to work at Trade Price Cars. You would have had your own cameraman, you would have had me behind the camera going, I used to do that.
Eating a pie.
Yeah, eating a pie. I used to do that. I'm like, can we do another take, Tisha? We're quite up to standard. I would. You made the wrong choice. No, you made absolutely right. I mean, it's amazing. But there's one question before we start. How long will we be going, boys?
Give a guess.
Or well, you take the guess first. Sorry, did you not hear? He said, "Have a guess."
59 minutes.
59 minutes. Okay, so we're pretty close to sort of wrapping up. I wanted to talk about very quickly in terms of the following. Mm-hmm. So you've got a following of about 40,000. What's your following? You're 36,000 on TikTok.
Yeah.
Obviously you got your Instagram, you got your Facebook. So when you get to that amount of following of 46,000, is it weird? Do you feel a responsibility now of like, I've got to keep this up for my following? I've been with people and hang around with people with a following on Instagram of like 6,000. All of a sudden they feel like they need to respond to their stories every day. And, my followers need to see what I'm up to. And I'm not sorry about not posting in a while. And I'm like, half of them probably don't even know you are. But you've got a faithful following, right? So something to be proud of, 100%, because I know how hard it is. But sometimes there's a bit of a responsibility there. Like, I don't want to do anything for the next thing, but do you feel like a responsibility, like I have to now?
Oh yeah, I definitely do feel a responsibility, and it always really like shocks me. Sometimes, occasionally, like something. So I upload on a Sunday morning at 10 a.m. and occasionally something will go wrong or something's happened with a video, and I'll get a message at like 11 a.m. saying, "Hi Tish, is everything okay? The video didn't go live this morning."
So they're waiting.
The people know that it's like consistency, but then that's the thing with YouTube is YouTube loves consistency.
Yeah.
So as much as I'm worried about them, which of course I want to uphold the content that they're expecting, but I am also like, right, if I fall off this algorithm, then I may start to reduce views. But I am really lucky that I have a really respectful group of followers, people that contact me. I don't feel, I will reply to people when it's like friendly messages or they've got questions. What I do find difficult is when people write me like a 4-paragraph thing about like my nan's looking to buy a car, and then I'm like, oh,
can you let us know what's the best engine?
I recommend a Suzuki. Yeah.
So that's that I find a little bit tricky, because it's just like finding that time, but of course it doesn't take long to reply to it, so I will reply to it. But I think I'm lucky that I don't have a demanding content like a following base, and they're really lovely, and it's so nice to like see some of the replies that people say. I did actually do a post, not this year, last year, I think it was for International Women's Day, and kind of said like, I'd like to celebrate this, but actually like I'm really lucky that maybe 30,000 of those people follow me are all men, and they're all so supportive, and they're all so like, they want to see me do well, and they want to see me better myself, which there's no uplifting women. We always find that women a lot of the time are uplifting women, but actually there's a lot of men out there that 100%. Are supporting them as well. So I kind of just put a post out there saying like, I really appreciate how you guys are always really supportive of what I'm doing, and you're always like promoting me to do other jobs and things like that. There is a responsibility there, but I think I'm lucky that I've grown a base of followers where people don't expect me to reply, and that's really lovely. Like when people say something, they're like, "Hi, I've just watched this video, it's really great," and I'd be like, "Oh, you're so welcome." They'll be like, "Oh my god, you replied." I'm like, that's so weird. That's really
I'm serious. It's only going to get worse. When you get to 80,000, you wait. You're going to get more and more. And I think that's the thing. Goes back to what we were saying. There are more. There's more positive people out there than there are negative. 100%. The negative makes the headlines. We know that in all the newspapers, in all the news and everything. Negative sells. You know, the positive vibes and the positive news doesn't. But like I say,
shocking, isn't it, when you watch the news and go, "Can you just put a good story on there?" Which is just one thing.
It is terrible, isn't it? Like literally, in all the news stories, we want to see the bad thing that's happened to someone. Even sport. I mean, I'm an avid follower. I go to all the sports sites. It's always something negative, usually, rather than something positive. Yeah. But like, it is refreshing to know that there's the positives outweigh the negatives, especially in the comments as well. So you will get comments. I've always said with our comments, we used to get some comments on some of our stuff. I used to just go through and you just read the positive ones. The negative ones you sort of laugh at, you sort of drift past. You only read the positive ones, because then that just makes you do another video. And you don't worry about it. It's like, oh, there's a few positives, we'll go again. And obviously you don't get 40,000 without people being positive about it. So I think it's pretty unbelievable. I'm pretty jealous of the jetting around the world, to be honest.
I'm very jealous of that one.
Yeah.
How is it reviewing a car that you pick up and go, "This is..."
I forgot about that question. I'm so glad you asked.
I think it helps that the new cars, there doesn't tend to be a bad new car.
So you're sitting on the wall then?
Oh, man, she has answered that so diplomatically.
Politicians
brings to mind.
They've always got a positive about them.
There's one car that I once was sent to me for a week. and I lived with it for a week. Because sometimes, if it turns up to start with, I'm like, God, I hate this car. I'll spend
grows
a
on
week
you,
with it, and then I'll be like, oh, okay, you know what? I can see, because the thing is what you think is a shit car, somebody else might not think that, and you have to be like, right, this doesn't work for me. I think this is awful. But actually, let me put myself in the shoes of the person that will be buying this. And does it work for them? Like, how do they find it? So I try to do that, but there is one car where once I emailed the brand and I said, thank you so much for sending me this car for a week. And that's massive expectations, because it costs a brand about £1,000 to send you a car for a week. In like drivers, trains, maintenance, fuel. So, and I did just say, I really don't like it. And I would rather not give you. So I guess that is that dishonest? I don't know. I would rather not create a false video where I'm saying good things about it when it's not good. But I would prefer just to refuse to review the car. I would just say to the brand, I'm really sorry. I could have put a video out there. It would have been negative, and I would have preferred not to have done that for you. So I've chosen not to review it.
That's fair enough. You can tell us what it was afterwards. Then.
I mean, I'll be quite open what it was, because they've actually changed it and the new one's much better. But it was the Honda CRV.
The Honda CRV.
CRV. I just always found they have a smell about them, and I just terrible gearbox, awful engine. Yeah, it wasn't a great car. But
I've just bought a Honda CRV now.
One of the old ones.
The new I can't see you trying to be honest. The new generation is much better. It costs about twice as much, but it is a better car.
I think we work for a dealership, so we genuinely could. We were very honest about certain cars. We were like, but I think the review was just quite short. If it wasn't a great car, we were like,
that's the best thing, though. That is the thing about reviews, and actually, this is something that loads of brands are starting to. And one of the key things when John Banks took me on for doing reviews for their channel is they said, never ever gloss over the bad.
No,
we do not want you to just be putting the positives out there. And I'm so glad that they got that, because the thing is, at the end of the day, if somebody is looking to buy a car, they are going to find that negative thing in 0.5 seconds of searching for it. It's going to be in all the impartial reviews, in all of the kind of bodies of text that are out there. So it's like, why is there any point in hiding it? It just makes it dishonest. So that's what I do. When I do the Jump X review, I will say, this, even though it's for the brand, it's for the dealership, they're trying to sell the car, I will say, guys, the negatives of this car, it's not safe. It's not, it hasn't got a very good safety rating or things like that. But that builds up the rapport with the customer.
And trust in you for your following as well.
So it's even if they're looking to buy it, they know that negative thing. They're just there to be reassured that, it's a negative, but actually there is a few positives as well.
100%. I mean, look, we've watched the reviews on telly with Top Gear and all of that other thing. Absolutely, Top Gear had such a powerful thing that car dealerships would literally be like that on a Sunday, because they know on a Monday there'd be cancel orders because Richard Hammond and Clarkson have absolutely just ruined the car. But at the end of the day, whatever you say is not, people are still going to buy that car. And there's enough positive to say, but that's funny. The Honda CRV. There we go. You got to say it.
They've had a tricky time recently, actually. What their newest electric car is, like you were saying, I think all of the car dealerships are like,
don't take the piss out of our cars.
A lot of not so great press. And I was honest about that one, actually. That wasn't for my channel, but that was
someone else. There we go. I think that's pretty much. We're wrapped up. Fingers in Pies podcast. We should do an outro.
We should do an outro. Favourite.
And we should definitely ask you.
Favourite sweet and savoury pie.
We always talk about pies. So we don't do anything. I mean, it's called the Fingers in Pies podcast. Jimmy, I thought you were genuinely looking at the pies then and not the camera. You were just coming in.
That's
a pork pie. You can go for it.
Is that the pork and pickle?
This is a pork and pickle. These ones.
Oh, damn it.
I love one of those.
So you can have it. So let's all ruin the podcast by eating a pie on camera. What if I had to push you for your favourite savoury pie? I mean, is it a pork pie?
I like a steak and ale pudding, like one of the steamed ones.
Oh, the suet.
Really gooey, yeah.
A suet, a gooey suet pudding.
Yeah.
As I eat it. This is the terrible bit. For people listening on Spotify or something like that, I'm sorry for this.
We had to apologise in Tingram's one as
we
well.
did, because we put a pie in one, and none of us spoke for like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
It's like, all right. Yeah. Favourite sweet pie?
My mum used to make a cherry pie.
I thought you just went, my mum. What?
She's such a sweetie pie.
Favourite sweet pie? My mum.
My mum made the most basic. I mean, my mum's never been a particularly adventurous cook, bless her heart. And she used to literally just like buy shop bought pastry, roll it out, put it in a tin, chuck a tin of tin cherries, bish bash bosh, that was done. But it was the best thing ever.
Cherry
It
pie.
was so
Nice.
good.
I like
Cherry
that.
pie, that's my favourite.
Cherry pie, there you go.
My mum's cherry pie from a can.
Cherry pie. Oh, yummy. To be fair, we could do something terrible with the editing. Don't be cruel. And go, what's your favourite pie? My mum. And it stops. What? There we go. Cherry pie from a can. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
On that note, thank you very much for coming onto the Fingers and Pies podcast. This has been a really interesting one. I've got such an insight into everything I wanted to have an insight on, because we wanted to chat to her ages ago, going, your videos are really good. How'd you do this? How'd you do that? What do you do? And it's just you with a camera. Unbelievable. And what an amazing following you've built. Seriously, I realise how this is what we do for people.
Yeah.
We do this. We're a content agency, right? So our whole job is to be creative following. We did all right on TikTok for a few, and we're still doing bits, and we're doing, engaging stuff that's going to hopefully take companies like Mayor on without having to pay a fortune. Right?
Yeah.
That's essentially what we do. So, appreciating our following and our faithful following is something that we can do. And when I saw it, I was like, wow, she's done really well. And it was so funny because I don't think I'd actually checked out your following for probably about a couple of years.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, man, she's getting on. And then one day at home, I was like, oh, okay, that's jumped. Really, really well done. Continue traveling the world. We've got a travel company as well to follow around. We've got another one.
Yeah.
This time next year.
That's it. But yeah, all of a sudden that's
Just
got
see us
busy.
pop up with our microphones.
Tish, your next one, can we do it wherever you're travelling to? We'll bring the podcast stuff. Congratulations on that, and hope it continues to soar.
Good luck.
We'll touch base with you again when it doubles, and obviously thank you to you as well, Tommy, for coming
you.
along, eating some pies, and
Always fun.
and having a chat. There we go, episode 5 done, and we'll see you on the next one.